Sandra. Welcome to Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. As chairman of education for the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, arts access is a big focus for you. How can the art world continue to expand access to the fine arts to more diverse communities, and how can others help, particularly like members of Kappa Alpha Sorority?
That's a really great question. It's actually the hottest topic right now in the art world. And it's been the hottest topic since probably the 60s. Black people protested museums, Black artists in particular, protested the very museum I work in, other museums around New York City. Access to the arts is like super crucial, and there are many ways that museums can continue to do that, to create access. One of which is to show work by people of color. So people want to be places where they see themselves. Another way is actually to actually create moments of relevance. So people are interested in things that speak to their daily lives. I'm not saying that they need to be very kumbaya or anything like that. I think they need to speak to like real world issues. And so what is happening outside in the real world needs to connect to the objects that are on view in museums. Now, how can we actually support museums? One of the ways that we can support it is actually by voting with our feet. Go to museums, see what they're about. They're actually some of the most amazing institutions in the world because they actually contain our history. So Kappa Alpha has objects that are, treasures that actually probably at some point will be in museums. And in many cases, they are actually in museums. And so if you think about that, you think about how do you actually secure culture for the future.
Sure.
And create a legacy. And so we can vote with our feet. We can actually show up, support the artists that we believe in, and support the institutions we believe in.
Great. How did you fall in love with the arts?
I didn't go to museums as a child for social experiences. It was all about school.
Sure.
And so I ended up being involved in the arts because I had an incredible dance teacher who had a really amazing afro. She was the bomb. She was phenomenal. She actually could dance. She taught us jazz dance. She taught us about our history and our culture. And so I asked her one day about her hair. Why did she have an afro and why did she think it was cool? And I never saw dancers that had bodies like that and actually were dancing in places where there were other people that looked like her. And she said, well, it's because I have an afro like this because there's this woman named Angela Davis. So I learned about politics through visual culture. I learned about politics and I learned about the world and what was happening in society through art. So I went to school and I studied art. I didn't study art history originally. I studied biology. Then I changed my major because I realized that I wanted to connect to people based on their interests and things that were meaningful to them. And the arts actually have been at the forefront of every movement that's happened in the world. So for me, the arts are about who we are as individuals, as people. And so connecting to the arts really was about connecting to myself and connecting to who we are.
So that connectivity led you to a career in the arts?
Yeah, that connectivity led me to not only a career in the arts, but also a career that I didn't anticipate. So I actually became interested also in the arts because at the time, School Days had come out, Boomerang was out, all these amazing movies that featured Black people doing great things and they had professional careers. And I didn't come from an environment that was like that. And so for me, it was like, wow. And I worked at a movie theater in high school. So I connected to these things and I was just like, wow, I could probably be like these characters in these films. So I was like most young people. I was like most young people who actually chase like the image they see on TV. Unfortunately now, some of the images are not so great. And so I connected to the arts because of the images I saw in the world.
Inside Kappa Alpha Sorority, when you look at our program focus, arts and education has always been a part of our programming. Even today, continues to be that way. And so what role do you think arts plays in creating change in America? Because it's such a vital part of almost every institution that we're a part of.
The very buildings that we live in, the streets we walk down, the clothes we wear, that's all art. we don't talk about it that way. We talk about it as commerce and industry. And the arts are all interwoven into that. That beautiful dress you have on, the necklace you have on, your hairstyle, all of that. So art and education actually are built into the economy in which America and the world is built on. And so as we move into this world of creativity and innovation, the arts actually were the forerunners in all of that. And so for me, arts have a critical role in that. Also in shaping the world we live in. The other thing is that art and social justice they go hand in hand. Every major, as I mentioned earlier, political movement, social justice effort, anything that has to do with people learning have had creativity and artists at the center of it. And so for me, education and the arts are synonymous.
What advice would you give our sorors, particularly our young sorors just starting out with their careers, who are interested in turning their passion for arts into a career?
I would say go where you want to be. If you're interested in the music industry, go to not just concerts, but go to courses, go to, events and things when people haven't made it and see how they evolve. If you're interested in visual art, go to museums. If you're interested in design, go to design fairs. Go where you want to be and see how it works. I also would say that go and give your time and your energy. We actually have forgotten as a community as a whole about how to volunteer our time, how to be generous. And I'm grateful to Alpha Kappa Alpha for that because, it helps young women understand how to give their time and invest in others as they would like for people to invest in themselves. So I would say be generous, go where you want to be engaged in the issues that you think are important. I would also say invest your time, energy, and talent in things that you want to do.
You spoke earlier about having grown up on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're living on the East Coast, but I know you lived in other parts of the country. How did you go about making those decisions about when it was time to move for a career change or just a life change? Because we have a lot of our younger members who are starting out their careers, and quite honestly, sometimes there's hesitancy to move about.
I think opportunities. I feel like I've been blessed to have opportunities presented before me, and I make the decision based on whether or not I have something to contribute to the place where I'm going. If I don't have anything to contribute and I don't have anything to learn from that place, if there are no mentors there that I envision being a part of my life, then I shouldn't go there.
As someone who is now working at one of the top art institutions in the nation and perhaps the world, clearly you are seen as a purveyor of the arts. And you're considered by many to be fearless because we don't know many like you. And of course, we're happy that you're an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman. So how have you channeled that fearless spirit?
I think fearlessness means leaning into discomfort. I think that women, particularly brown women, do that well. I feel like I've had the privilege of seeing women come before me, and I don't necessarily know that I'm fearless. I think that I'm well prepared to handle fear.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us on Conversations. We look forward to your continued contributions, and certainly for all of those who are interested in the arts, you are a role model and inspiration for many of us.
Thank you. Thank you.